I'd met this girl through a mutual friend of ours named Vesser. And I'd met her. He set me up on a date with her. I go on the date with her. And then when we're on the date, like, she didn't really know it was a date. She kind of thought it might be a date, but she thought I was an author and wanted to write her story. Like, she wasn't sure. But she looked me up and saw that all she knew was like, hey, I got this buddy. He wants to meet you. He's a writer. So she was like, okay. So she goes on the date with me, and as we're on the date, she immediately starts kind of telling me her story, like and I was looking at her, and like halfway, like 10 minutes into it, I'm like 10 minutes.
The pics are in.
10 minutes into it, I'm like, what's going on? What are we doing here? And she goes, I go, what are you doing? She goes, I'm telling my story. And I went, what do you think this is? And she goes, I mean, I thought you wanted to meet me because are you interested in my story? And I was like, no, this is a date. And she was like, oh, wow, I'm sorry. I thought maybe you wanted my story. And I go, do you have a story? Like, I mean, like, I just drove like an hour and a half to meet her at an Outback near her. And I'm like, do you have a story? And she's like, well, I kind of do. Like, she started explaining it to her. Like, I mean, her husband died. Like, there's drugs. Like, she has an interesting story. But as we started talking, she said, yeah, man, I'm sorry. I don't really date. And I was like, well, why don't you date? And I go, why not? She goes, I said, because your husband just died? He died like 6 months or a year ago. I said, because your husband died? And she goes, no. She said, we'd been separated for like 2 years. She said, no, like 2 years ago, she said, I came down with cancer. I have cancer. And I went, oh, wow. Like, I didn't know that. I said, I'm sorry. And so anyway, she said, yeah, that's why I don't date. Like, I mean, she said, well, the kind of cancer she has, it's some kind of slow progression, and you can fight it, but it only gives you like another year. Like if you take chemo, she's like, so I might have 2 more years left. And she was super thin, but I thought thin, like sexy thin. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. No. Now I'm looking at her like, no, it's cancer thin. Mm-hmm. So, but look, I mean, beautiful chick, blonde hair, blue eyes. She had fucking tats and stuff. Like she's like everything I like, right? And anyway, so I was like, okay, well, tell me your story. Because, you know, she said she really doesn't get out. She's just kind of trying to raise her kids until she passes. And so at the end of so I'm joking with her. Anyway, by the end of the dinner, she says, hey, I'm having a really good time. Do you want to go play pool? And I went, yeah, sure. I mean, what am I going to say? No. I mean, she's got fucking cancer. Like, I'm going to do whatever you want to do. Let's do it. So we play pool. She beats the hell out of me 3 games in a row. She's like a fucking shark. So at the end of that, when I go to leave, it's like 12 o'clock. I remember she stopped me at my car and she said, can I tell you something? I go, yeah, what's that? And she said, I wish this had been a date. She said, I had a really good time with you. And I don't get out much. And she said, I had fun and you made me laugh and you seemed like a great guy. And I was like, hey, well, look, it is a date. We'll go out again. And tomorrow I'll call you and we'll go out again. And she was like, Matt, like this ends, I die. Like, you understand this isn't.
It doesn't mean you can't go on a couple dates.
Right. That's what I said. I said, first of all, I could die on my way home.
Right.
I said, you could die of a brain embolism tomorrow morning that has nothing to do with cancer. I said, nobody knows. So I said, look, we'll go out. I like you. You like me. We'll see. Maybe it'll work. Maybe 3 dates from now, we hate each other. And she was like, are you serious? I was like, yeah. She was like, I said, look, I'm a big boy. I know what she goes, I don't want to do that to you. I said, I know what I'm getting into. I said, or hey, if you don't want to go. She goes, no, I do. I'm interested. I was like, okay, great. So we talked for till 2 or 3 in the morning. You know, I drove home. We're on the phone. We're talking. The next day we talk. Next day we talk. We're about to go out again. She ghosts me. Totally ghosts me. Nothing. No response to my emails or my texts. I'm like, what the hell? So I send her a text that says, hey, listen. And I go over all this on my podcast. Like, it's like an hour-long thing. I'm giving you the Reader's Digest version so we can get the AR-15.
The abridged version?
Yeah. So I end up sending her a thing saying, hey, listen, I don't know what I did or what happened, but given your situation, I hope you have the best result possible. You know, you seem like a nice person. I'm just disappointed that we didn't get to know each other better. I'm sorry. I said, and if I upset you, I'm sorry, but I would have liked to have gotten to know you. And I sent it. No big deal. Like, I'm going on in the next one. Well, like a week later, I get this long-ass text. And on my podcast, like, I read the whole text. You can read the whole thing. Like, I have the Siri read the whole thing. And it's like, look, it's not that I'm not interested. You don't understand. My husband died. I feel guilty. I feel guilty about being happy. You understand that I'm going to end up passing away. I feel bad about this. And it goes on and on. So we end up talking on the phone. So I text her back, look, let's just talk. So we talk. And she says, look, I talked to my daughter. My daughter said, look, this guy, he knows he's an adult. He wants to meet you. I mean, he wants to date you. You deserve to be happy. You don't have to spend your last 2 years just driving us around. You need to be happy. And if you like this guy, you should go out with him. So she goes, look, and I'm sorry. She's on the phone crying.
Damn.
I mean, this is one date.
Wow.
So she's like, look, she's like, it's just, I can't believe that you know that I'm going to die and you're okay with that. You're going to be okay with that. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be okay with it. Like, you don't understand. I'm all in. It's the bank theory, right? Like, I'm not going to the bank with a note. I'm going on with an AR. I'm going with an AR-15 and I'm taking out with the contents of the vault. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm all in. If I'm all in, I'm all in. So anyway, she's like, look, if you're willing, then I'm willing. Let's do this. Great. We end up talking for the next couple days. Again, once again, on the phone. She's texting me all the time. It's great. Super, just smart, sexy. And, the cancer thing, whatever. We'll see what happens with that. So we're supposed to meet that night. Ghost me. Again, ghost me like 3 days later, ghost me. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know what happened. So like a week later, my ex-wife calls me and she's like, hey, what's up? What's going on with this person? What's going on with that person? I talked to her. Yeah, this and this and this. No big deal. This one, you like her? I like her, but this is the problem. Well, what about this one? I like her, but this is the problem. What about this chick? I like her, but there's problems. She goes, what about the cancer chick? She goes, you really liked her. And I go, right. And I told you she ghosted me. She goes, yeah, but you don't know what happened. I said, well, no, I don't know what happened. She goes, you know her address? I went, I mean, I can figure it out. She goes, you need to go to her house and find out. And I went, I know.
That's a little weird. That's
yeah. Oh, no. Don't trust.
Your wife. Advice.
Your ex-wife's trying to get you whacked.
She's trying to get me killed. I know. Listen, I know. I'm with you. But keep in mind, this is also the chick that every time I got indicted, prior to the indictment, she's like, look, I know that your friends got indicted and you like them and we like them. They're good people. We don't talk to them anymore. I'm like, what? She's like, they were indicted. They're going to roll over on you. I'm like, they would never do that. Like, if you understand, every time I've been in trouble, she's told me, this is what's going to happen. Stop now. Do this. Get rid of this. Do this. I never do it. I never listen to her.
Is your ex-wife, is she in the American Greed episode of you?
No.
No? Okay.
No. She's always avoided
She
always.
has.
Yeah, she's good. So, anyway, so I sat there and she convinces me going there. I'm like, that's stalker material. She goes, look, you show up, you knock on the door. If she opens the door and says, Matt, get out of here. She goes, leave. She goes, but read me the text. So I start reading her all the text. She never once says she doesn't like you or she's not interested. All she's saying is like, you're an amazing guy. You're a great guy. I like you. I want to date you. She goes, you don't know, Matt. She could be in the hospital. You don't know what's happening. Just go to check it out. She goes, for her to just disappear, that's weird. And I went, yeah, if I show up and she's like, what are you doing here? I'll just leave. I can't have the cops called on me. Like, I'm not in that position. I'm not stalking you.